Must be that time again, 12:30 on a Friday afternoon, live here on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook for P2P Live, where you're going to find out everything about the Australian employment and jobs market. Hi there, my name's Mark Smith. I'm Group Managing Director of People to People in Australia and Frog Recruitment in New Zealand. For all of those people watching from New Zealand, let's not talk about the rugby. And if you're watching from France, turn off now, because you're referee, really. Anyway, let's move on. We've got a packed broadcast today. We got 3 jobs that we need to fill today. You could start work on Monday. We've got our regular numbers section where the unemployment numbers in Australia were released this week. So we'll take a quick look at that. Quite interesting, and some interesting economic feedback around that as well. We're also talking to Blair Cashin from Hnry, which is a service for those who are ABN contractors, or if you're thinking about being an independent contractor. Stay tuned to listen to Blair. He's got some advice that you really should take on board there. Then we've got our regular Twitter poll and the results from last week, where we were asking whether you'd experienced quiet firing. So stay tuned for those results as well. So let's jump into it with our regular numbers. So here are the key stats from this week's release of the unemployment numbers for August in Australia. And we saw a slight tick up in unemployment to 3.5%. So from 3.4% to 3.5%. But actually, we had more people working last month. And the reason why the unemployment rate ticked up slightly was a slight increase in the participation rate to the rather foreboding 66.6% rate for participation. So it seems to be that the unemployment rate is leveling at about that 3.5% mark. Here's what it looks like on a graphical perspective. Thanks, Jacob. Jacob is our man behind the scenes in Mount Wellington in Auckland. So if you're in Auckland and it's Friday night and you want to go, Jacob will eventually tell us which pub he goes to, and you can go and have a beer with him in Mount Wellington. But you can see at the bottom there that 3.5% is the rate that it appears that we're leveling out to. Now, a couple of economists have suggested that it may start with a 2 early next year. It was interesting, the NAB business confidence, or the report came out this week as well, saying that there's a big gap between business confidence and consumer confidence, which may translate into still a very difficult market to find talent, as people are unwilling to change jobs, although business confidence remains high. So it's some really conflicting statistics that are coming through in these numbers. Overall, though, what we're not seeing is a dramatic shift in the unemployment rate. Although we may have bottomed out, that we are more towards the peak of the employment market, it's certainly no signs that things are crashing. So if you're an employer and you're looking to hire, don't think, well, I'll just wait to the new year where the market may be a little bit better and I can hire, there'll be more availability of talent. There's no indications at this point that there is a softening or a loosening in the jobs market at the moment. Let's have a look at it on a state-by-state basis. So here's the next one. So you can see the line that I've highlighted in the middle there, which is the change in the unemployment rate in each of the states. So you can see slight tick up in New South Wales, a 0.5 percentage point in Victoria, but in Queensland, South Australia and WA, the unemployment has decreased. I thought the most interesting number for us, particularly people to people, is the Queensland reduction of unemployment down to 3.2%. That's down 0.5%, like 0.5% in Queensland. That's huge. And if you would actually delve into those numbers in Queensland, you'll find that like Brisbane and central Brisbane is it's almost impossible. It's like we're at full employment in central not central Queensland, but in urban Brisbane for sure. And it's extremely difficult to get talent. It'll be interesting to see, particularly on the temporary and contracting front, to see whether the influx of working holiday makers, they are a little bit like, I've got to say, a little bit like migrant birds. They all seem to arrive during the spring and then fly up the coast. So whether they actually end up in Brisbane this year, I'm not too sure, but they will be a very important resource for those who are looking to gather talent. And you may want to think about bringing on some temp and contractors at that time. Okay, so that's it for the numbers. Now, we've got 3 jobs that we need to fill this week. Well, we've got to fill them today, actually. It's Fill Job Friday. If you're immediately available and you're a finance configurator, then we've got a job that you can start on Monday. Hnry in New South Wales paying $40 an hour, 6-month contract. There is the possibility of going permanent with this particular role. It's a transportation company. So if you need to have experience working within a logistic or supply chain environment, and if you have that experience or you'd like to learn more, then Celine in our Parramatta office is the person you need to speak to. Celine at people2people.com.au, 8270-9741. You can also see the links to these opportunities in the comments. So you can always click and apply there. Here's the next one. It's a legal assistant role in Melbourne with a global law firm paying $35 to $40 an hour. So your duties in this one will be preparing correspondence, briefs to counsel, court documentation and the like. You've got to have experience as a secretarial PA, preferably in a law firm. Now, this is in the past, law firms were very strict on having legal experience. There is a loosening up there. If you're interested in getting into this, if you're a legal assistant, you could start Monday with Mary in our Melbourne team, 0390987427. Or apply online with the link in the comments. Here's the last one for today, and it's another Victorian role in West Footscray, $41 an hour for an account manager. So Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 6-month commitment for this particular temp job, reporting through to the sales manager. You'll be responsible for the development of overall store business plans, individual business reviews, got to have sales experience, and in home appliances or a similar type of position. Chelsea Dale is our consultant in Melbourne, 0390987422, or apply online. And you can start work on Monday as a finance configurator in Western Sydney, a legal assistant in Melbourne, or an account manager in Victoria as well. Now, you're probably thinking, well, how can I apply when I'm watching this and I'm on the bus? Well, you can apply because we use Vply. Vply is the video application process. So all you need to do is click the link and quickly record a quick video saying, look, I'm interested in this finance configurator role. That video will come through to us and we'll be able to get in touch with you. So Vply is the way to apply for these particular roles if you're on the bus. Okay, all right. So we have a lot to learn about contracting, or if you're an ABN contractor, from Blair. But to get us there, we've got another opportunity that I wanted to on video, and that's from Kirsten Garrett in our Sydney team for a senior payroll officer. So if you want to roll that video, and then we'll have a chat to Blair.
This standalone senior payroll officer position is based in the Sydney CBD, working in beautifully renovated and modern offices. Offering 2 to 3 days work from home, you will manage the entire payroll function for 300 plus staff paid monthly across Australia and New Zealand. With an outsourced model in place, you will drive the function, be provider of all required information, and pulse check each stage of the process for accuracy and timeliness. Paying up to $110,000 plus super and a discretionary bonus. This is for an experienced payroll professional who ideally has worked in both end-to-end in-house payroll positions as well as with an outsourced model. Please call me for a confidential discussion if this role appears to match your experience. Thank you.
Well, we should get it straight out of the way right up, Blair, that you are actually a Kiwi, and we're not going to talk about the rugby today at all. We're just going to put it out there. That's where we're going to land, isn't it? So
I'm half Australian, so I've got a foot in both camps.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. This is Blair Cashin, who is the CEO of Hnry, which is a service for independent contractors. So I don't know a lot about Hnry. So what can you tell me how it began and what the services that you offer?
Yeah, for sure. So I do have to correct. I'd love to be the CEO of Hnry. Unfortunately, I am the partnership manager. So my role is going to market with the Hnry product and service. But the Hnry started 4 years ago in New Zealand. It was founded by a husband and wife, James and Claire Fuller, who are co-founders. And when they came back to New Zealand after living in the UK, it was the first time they actually had the experience of going into contracting. And they found it very difficult to understand how much tax they needed to squirrel away. In New Zealand, it was a lot around ACC bills that came up, and in Australia as well around superannuation and how much really you need to squirrel away each pay. So it started on a Google spreadsheet in the dining room table, and fast forward 4 years, we manage nearly 30,000 independent contractors across Australia and New Zealand.
So why did you join Hnry then?
I've actually come from a recruitment background of about 20 years, both in Australia and New Zealand and the UK. And as a recruiter, like, contracting was a very appealing market to get into because of the recurring revenue. But also I found the Hnry service and product really made that transition for candidates, especially people moving from permanent work into contract work, exceptionally smooth. So the way that we work with recruiters and candidates is really an education piece around what they can do, what they can and can't claim, and make it very simple so they know what is in their back pocket is theirs to keep. They don't have to pay any further taxes.
So what sort of so if you're a new contractor, then what sort of challenges are you likely to face, and how can Hnry help out with that?
It's often an education piece. So it's mainly around kind of expense management, what you can and can't claim. As we are a fintech company, we are an accounting software business as well as your accountant. So we pay your taxes to the ATO. And each time you raise an expense, you get the immediate tax relief. So you don't have to worry about the end of year holding onto your receipts for the end of financial year. We will continue to work with you and file and lodge your taxes at the end of each financial year.
Okay, excellent. And so, has there been a highlight of working with Hnry so far?
Yeah, I think it's been the growth of the business. So when I joined, we had 20 people. We just opened in Australia, so we're currently at about 70 people across both countries. And just the fact that we help so many different people from dog breeders to white collar contractors to freshwater fishermen and everything in between. So the real purpose of the company is to make people's lives easier. And we can see it every day working with contractors.
Okay, so if we've got people watching today and they're thinking, I hadn't really thought about contracting, do you have any advice for people looking for contracting or looking at trying contracting for the first time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main thing really would be to reach out and have a conversation with us around what it is you need to be aware of. So, seeing those 3 contract roles that you just you talked about before, we're seeing a lot of people move from perm roles into contract roles because of the flexibility. So yeah, I encourage anyone to kind of reach out, find out more about hnry.com.au, and reach out. We can talk you through your own personal financial situation.
Perfect. And how would somebody do that? Actually, I can see that on screen here that Jacob's popped your email address and website up on the screen there. So if anybody wants to get in touch, then they should do that. Well, thanks, Blair.
You're welcome.
Thanks also for not mentioning the rugby throughout the entire conversation. That's excellent. But hopefully we'll see you again soon on P2P Live with some more independent contractor advice. Righto. So let's now have a look at last week's Twitter poll. Have you experienced quiet firing at work? Well, 60-40, said, no, I haven't. You know what? I mean, that's a very close number, 60-40. I reckon we didn't. I know that the number of people who responded to this particular question was much lower than we normally get, because I don't actually think people know what quiet firing is. So there's a whole hashtag around quiet quitting at the moment, which is very interesting. And we ran a poll on that a couple of weeks ago. But what is quiet firing anyway? We might have to spend some time on that in future weeks on P2P Live. But here's this week's poll, which is, would you work from overseas if your job could be fully flexible? So if you could work completely, working from home, which working from home could be, well, I could be working from home overseas. Yes, I'd love to. No, I'm quite happy where I am. Or maybe it's nice to have the option to. So if you'd like to vote for any of those, at People2People on Twitter or on our LinkedIn, and we'll give you the results of that particular poll next week. All right. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for P2P Live. We'll do it all again next week. It's going to be a fabulous weekend of sport, particularly here in Sydney with NRL and the AFL. We're not talking about the Wallabies last night, but enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you again at 12:30 next week on Friday for P2P Live.
I'm so excited that it's this time of year again to celebrate our four-legged friends with the Top Dog competition. We wanted to be able to recognise our four-legged friends and the good work that they do, but particularly the impact that they have on mental health and well-being. So if you think your dog has what it takes to take out the prizes this year, be sure to get involved and enter today. You can also follow our campaign through our Insta.